It was a special night for Mary and George, an elderly couple who had been married for 55 years. They had always dreamed of celebrating their anniversary at a nice restaurant, and tonight they had finally saved up enough to make that dream come true. They had chosen a cozy, upscale restaurant in the heart of the city, known for its romantic atmosphere and delicious meals. Mary, who was 76, had spent the afternoon getting ready, wearing her best dress and doing her hair just the way George liked it. George, a bit frail but full of love for his wife, had put on his best suit, making sure everything was perfect for their special evening. The couple sat down at a table by the window, taking in the soft lighting and the gentle hum of conversation around them. For a moment, it felt like their world was just the two of them. Mary looking at George with eyes filled with years of love, and George holding her hand across the table, smiling at her with the same affection he had for all those years. They ordered their meals, talking softly about the old days, reminiscing about their wedding day and the life they had built together. It was a simple but meaningful celebration. Stay tuned to find out what happens when they try to pay for their meal and the unexpected twist that changes everything. As the night went on, Mary and George savored every bite of their meal. They laughed together, exchanged stories, and looked at each other with the kind of deep connection that only comes from decades of shared memories. When the meal was finished, the couple called the waiter over to bring the check. George reached into his wallet, feeling a little nervous, but confident they had enough to cover the cost. He pulled out the cash, only to find that the total was a bit higher than he had expected. He checked the bills in his wallet, and his heart sank. Mary, noticing his hesitation, gently squeezed his hand. "Is everything okay, George?" she asked softly. George forced a smile, trying to mask his worry. "I think I might be a little short," he admitted, his voice shaky. Mary's face fell, and she didn't want to make a scene, but the realization hit her hard. They had planned for this night for so long, but the unexpected cost was too much. They had lived frugally their entire lives, always careful with money, but now it seemed like they were going to have to leave without paying for their special evening. What will happen next? Stay tuned to find out what Clint Eastwood does when he notices this couple's struggle. As the couple exchanged worried glances, trying to figure out what to do, a familiar figure entered the restaurant. Clint Eastwood, the legendary actor and director, walked in with his usual calm and commanding presence. He had been in town for a few meetings, and like so many others, he decided to stop by this particular restaurant for a meal. His sharp eyes quickly noticed the elderly couple sitting by the window, the man looking embarrassed as he fumbled through his wallet. Clint had a knack for noticing things that others missed, and he saw the quiet struggle unfolding at the table. He could tell that something wasn't right. He casually walked over to the bar to place his order, but his gaze kept returning to the elderly couple. He couldn't ignore the look of concern on their faces. As he waited for his food, Clint took a seat at a nearby table, but instead of focusing on his own meal, he kept his attention on the couple. When the waiter arrived to take their payment, Clint couldn't take it any longer. He stood up and walked over to their table, his presence commanding their attention. What will Clint do now? Stay tuned to find out how this moment will unfold and the twist that's about to happen. Clint approached George and Mary with a warm smile, his voice soft but filled with authority. "Excuse me," he said. "I couldn't help but notice that you seem to be having a bit of trouble." Mary looked up, surprised to see Clint standing before them. "Oh, no," she said quickly, trying to hide her embarrassment. "It's nothing. We'll figure it out." Clint sat down across from them, his gaze never leaving George's face. "I've been in that situation before," he said, his tone understanding. "I know how it feels to be in a tight spot, and it's not easy." George, now feeling even more flustered, tried to explain. "We've just saved up for this night, and we didn't expect the bill to be so high," he said quietly. "I don't want to cause any trouble. We'll find a way to make it work." But Clint shook his head, his eyes kind and empathetic. "No need for that," he said gently. "This is my treat tonight." George and Mary were stunned. They looked at each other, unable to believe what they were hearing. "You don't have to do that," George said, his voice filled with gratitude. But Clint insisted. "Please let me do this for you. You've earned it. This night should be about celebrating, not stressing over a bill." What will George and Mary do?